Want to see what my NFL baby daddy gives me for child support each month? Here's a bit of background info before I share. My ex played in the NFL for 12 years. He has a working farm that he's done a TED Talk on. A couple years ago, he was given an award by his alma mater, the University of Georgia, an award to celebrate his entrepreneurial success. We have 2 kids together, a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old, and we've been locked in a court battle for 4 years now. Custody was just settled earlier this year, and we are still figuring out child support. The reason why it's been 4 years is because he's not been cooperative and has not turned over simple things like tax returns for his businesses and whatnot. I have the kids the majority of the school year. During the school year, he gets them every other weekend, and then summer is split. He refuses to pay half of their extracurricular activities, and since I have them for the majority of the school year, the bulk of all of their school year expenses also has to get paid by me. Want to see how much I'm getting each month? So here we have it, a $750 Venmo payment for the months of November, December, and January. So $250 a month. What a guy. If you're nosy and want to know more, I have a 42-part series on exactly what went down with this guy.
Wow, $250 a month from an ex-NFL player after a long court battle? That's rough, especially with 2 kids and the school year expenses falling mostly on you. It's tough to imagine the financial gap between his resources and what he's actually contributing to his kids' needs. And you've been in this fight for 4 years? That's a lot of energy spent just trying to get the basics covered. The resilience it must take to keep pushing forward in a situation like that. I hope sharing your story brings some support and maybe some accountability into the mix.
My husband gave me an STD at 30 weeks pregnant. I constantly watch videos like this, and I never thought in a million years that I would be somebody that would post something like this, but here we go. So I am 30 weeks pregnant with our second child, and for some time now, about a week, I've been having symptoms of like a yeast infection or BV. Called my OB and they were like, okay, come in, we'll do a swab and we'll just treat you with some antibiotics until the tests come back because we're sure that it's just an imbalance or something. So my OB called me when the test came back, and she indeed told me that I had contracted an STD through contact. So it's not one of those weird ones where you can contract it from like a toilet seat or something. And the thing is that my husband has been so supportive throughout this entire pregnancy, and he's only left me like a handful of times to go run some errands and stuff. Now here's the kicker. Every single time throughout this entire pregnancy that I would go to the OB, they would swab me for yeast infections, bacterial infections, and for STDs, and I have never had a positive one until now. So that means that he has had an affair within the last month. And when I tell you I came at him guns a-blazing, I was like, you better tell me and you better fess up right now what you did. He immediately swore up and down that he's never cheated on me the entire time that we've been together. And he also said that he wants to go as soon as possible to get tested for this STD to confirm that he does not have it and prove to me that he does not have it. The only thing I can think of is that he went an hour away for a work meeting and he was gone for a couple hours. Or there's also another scenario where he went back home to play golf with a high school friend, and then the high school friend's girlfriend called and said, you need to come home. He can play the rest of the rounds by himself. And I honestly don't know because there's no concrete evidence of an affair except for a positive STD test. So I don't know where to go from here. I need help.
This is such a heartbreaking situation, especially at such a vulnerable time in your pregnancy. Finding out about an STD in this context feels like a betrayal that shakes the very foundation of trust in your relationship. The emotional whiplash of being supported and then blindsided like this, especially with the uncertainty and his insistence of innocence, must be overwhelming. Taking care of your health and peace is so important right now. Hopefully, with open communication and maybe even some professional guidance, you'll get the clarity you need to decide the next steps that are best for you and your children.
I'm really a firm believer in if you're not going to leave, let that man cheat in peace. Because one time I spent a little bit of time with a taken man. Now, I didn't know he was taken until I received a phone call 2 days later from an unknown number. And I answered the phone and she was like, hey, you don't know me, but were you with Ladarian the other day? Okay, obviously you got to be his girlfriend, his baby mama, something, because, you know, why else would you be calling my phone? So she proceeds to tell me that yes, they're together. They got a 2-month-old. 2-month-old. That's an evil man. That is an evil man. So she tells me they got this kid, and you know, they didn't know where he was the other day. He skipped his grandma's birthday lunch to come and chill with me. Like, what happened? She asked me what happened because he said, well, girl, it don't matter what he said. Let me tell you what happened. First of all, he told me that he went to his grandma's lunch. I'm so sorry that he missed that. So sorry, Meanwhile. Anyways, he came over, we chilled, we kissed a little bit. He left. She says, oh, well, were there a lot of people? Because he said, girl, what he said is irrelevant. If you believed what he said, you wouldn't be calling me. It should be enough that he skipped grandma's birthday lunch and turned off his location. It should be enough that you got another girl's number out of his phone. So you calling me, you want the real story. Obviously, you don't believe him, but I'm telling you what happened. Anyways, though, I kind of knew that she wasn't going to leave him because she started giving me reasons why I shouldn't want to be with him. She's like, oh, well, I'll just let you know, he ain't he make all this money, but he just spend it on shoes. He don't do nothing for his daughter, and he'll cuss his mama out. Girl, I do not know the man. I do not know the man like that. I don't care. I met the man one time and didn't give him no. These are reasons you shouldn't be with him. I don't. Well, what you telling me for? You should have been telling yourself that. Anyways, though, so I tell her, hey, I know she wants to have her little argument. You know, I know she wants her little evidence, even though she ain't gonna leave. I say, hey, girl, you know, I'll do you a favor. Delete his contact so his number will be at the top of the text. I'll screenshot all the texts and send them to you. She says, okay, thank you. While later on, this hoe texted me talking about, he talking about, you was nasty and you stank. You trying to hurt my feelings? Like, are we allies or what? Because I thought we was working together, and now you telling me some shit that's irrelevant, okay? How he know my coochie stank if he wasn't trying to get down there? Huh? Oh, that made me mad. Anyways, though, after all that, you know, he popped up in my people you may know on Facebook. And I said, Facebook, how do you know I may know this man? But I clicked on his profile. I was just curious. They still together. They got 2 more kids now. And that was like 6 years ago. That's crazy.
It's wild how some people will go through so much just to hold on to a toxic relationship. Like, she calls you up, spilling all the tea about him missing grandma's birthday, cussing out his mama, and then tries to play mind games about whole you stank thing. What's even more shocking is after all that, they're still together with even more kids. It's like they thrive on the drama.
I know this is going to sound rude and inappropriate, but I didn't know that Make-A-Wish kids grew up.
One time I went on a date with a Make-A-Wish kid, and it was definitely like in my top 10 of worst dates, perhaps of all time. It was a complete and utter nightmare, but like kind of in the exact way you would imagine it is. So we were 18, or at least I think I was 18. He was like 19 or 20. We were in college though, and I knew going into it, he was completely bald, but he said he was like cancer-free and past it. And I got it. As someone who has multiple family members and immediate family members who have all like either gotten cancer or passed of cancer, like this was not an unfamiliar topic to me. So while it was like the elephant in the room, it was kind of the only thing this kid talked about it. And I get it, because that had probably been his entire life up until that point. So I gave him a lot of leeway there. But he was telling me about how he was a Make-A-Wish kid. And I was like, that's so cool. Like, I've never met a Make-A-Wish kid before, and I want to know more. He was telling me that he got diagnosed really young, and they said it was really bad, right? So they gave him a Make-A-Wish. You know, he wanted to use it when he wasn't quite as sick. So he saved it to go, and because he wanted to go to Japan or something, he went on some sort of an international trip with it, is what he said. There were a lot of strange holes in his story here and there that made me question the validity of it, but like, weird thing to lie about, you know? Like, yeah, I didn't know you could save wishes for many years, like they had rollover minutes or whatever, but I'm not an expert. That wasn't the real issue on the date. The issue was that, and I understand, like, cancer had been his whole life up to that point, but that was, like, what he had branded himself as. It is all that he talked about, to the point that he was, like, acting very arrogantly when we would, like, because we were walking around a mall, right? The date was at a mall. We were going to get food, walking and talking. But he was acting very entitled to things, and he would, like, bring it up to try and get things. Like, he thought that he could get free food and free stuff. And I'm also like, buddy, you don't have cancer anymore. Like, you can't keep playing the cancer card. You said you're cancer free. I don't mean to sound harsh, but like, you made it to the other side. You're gonna have to develop a personality outside of having cancer at this point. But he was just, in general, really rude the entire date, and he just kind of, like, talked and bragged about himself the whole time. Which I can fully empathize that, like, yeah, as the kid with cancer in your family, like, you've probably been the number one focus of your family for most of your life. So I can see where that developed, but, like, this is a date. You're gonna have to ask me a question at some point here, sir. He really kept, like, trying to make moves, and then when they didn't land, you know, he would, like, circle back to the cancer thing, and it felt like the whole time he thought he was entitled to me, like, getting with him because he had had cancer. And in the end, he threw kind of like a toddler temper tantrum that I didn't want to get with him. It was all very strange, and needless to say, I never reached out to him again after that date.
This is one of those dating horror stories that just leaves you wondering how people can be so out of touch. It's like, yes, having gone through cancer is a massive part of someone's life, but the entitlement and expectation for special treatment, even years after being cancer-free, that's just a lot. And thinking he could somehow charm his way by only talking about himself and playing the cancer card to get free things, it's a lesson in how not to approach dating.